You can see here in this video I've done a quick sketch and I did an illustration and I just practiced using some of the brushes just to show you how you can use it on different artwork. So you can see I've done a quick sketch on a pencil and then I translated that into simple shapes, as you can see here. Did some strokes, added some detail and shading, and you can see I did different versions, and then I finally came out with this and then played around with it, and you can see here how I started to add some texture using the brushes. So if I go to my brush panel, or you can go to window brushes, just like in the other video, and you can see I was working with some other brushes and I created some new ones as well using the felt tip pen. Nothing too crazy. And you can see here you can add backgrounds, you can even add some texture onto your illustration as well, just to give it that authentic look. So you can see here I played around with that, and I'm going to show you how to play around. So what I did is, you can see how all these shapes are just split apart. I'm just going to lock the background, put it on a different layer. Call it BG and then call it, just lock that. And as you can see here, it's all different shapes, and some are a multiply, and I added some detail into the pencil just to give it a cool look. And what I usually do is, you can select these strokes, and if you go to the top left hand corner, you can go select, and then what you can go is go to same, and then you can select similar objects by appearance, by stroke, by color, even opacity. So what I usually do is I go to stroke color, and now it's going to select all these strokes, as you can see here. And what I'm going to do now is change the brush to a nice art brush. So these are all art brushes, and you can see when you're working with strokes and lines and paths, it's good to use like a thin, simple black stroke. So I'm going to click that, and you can see how it's changed it and it's made it look nice. But I'm going to make the stroke a little bit less. We'll go 0.25. That's kind of looking a bit better. Maybe we'll go 0.4. You can even type it in, just like that. Sweet. So we've got that, and now the stroke looks a bit more messier and not as clean, and you can see it's adding those nice ridges and roughened edges to the artwork, which makes it look nice. So that's what you can do when you want to add some new brushes to the stroke. And to add some texture, what we can do as well, I like adding some circles. As you can see, you just press L for the ellipse tool, or you can go in the left hand corner and select it there, and just hold Alt and Shift, drag that out, and you can see you can make a circle. And what I can do is actually click on any of the brushes, and you can see it's going to add the brush to the shape really easily. So we want to use these thicker brushes. It's better to use thick brushes when you're doing texturing. So maybe one of these ones down here, that one looks kind of good. So I can drag this, and you can actually bump up the stroke heaps to make it thicker. I'm just going to drop it down a bit, and I'm going to change the color to the background color. So then as we drag this in closer, you can see it's starting to add some texture on the edges there, just to make it look messy. So what you can do is just select the circle and then just make a copy of it by holding Alt, and you can just drag it around to get those stuff on the edges. So if I press Ctrl Y, you can see that the texture is doing that. You can also press B, and you can actually paint a path like that. So I can go ahead and paint along the edges if I want to get a different look. Or you can actually press P for the pen tool, and you can actually draw a path. Click and drag any path you want, and then I can go ahead and select the brushes here. So maybe I want a certain angle, and I'm just going to put it against the edge here just to add some extra texture. So that's what you can do to add some texturing on your illustrations. You know, it's a lot of fun. You can add different textures on top of each other as well. And you can even move them around with the circle like that. And I find this is a nice way to add some just texture on the edges. Just like that. So you can see just by adding a few brushes, we can add some textures, roughen it up a little bit on the edges, which is pretty cool. You can even change the opacity. So maybe I want to paint on top of it, as you can see there, and maybe I want to select that stroke, and you can actually change the opacity. You can go darken, multipliers looks nice as well, color burn. You can even go screen. You can play around and you can get some really cool effects. So you can see after we've added these brushes, we can actually make a clipping mask because you can see that the shapes are still there, and maybe we just want the textures within this shape. So I'm gonna just lock the texture layer and just select all our artwork. What I'm gonna do is press Control C, Control F, make a copy of it, and then what you can actually do is connect it together. So if you go Window, Pathfinder, you can actually click this Unite button here, click that, and you can see it's actually made a shape, and press Shift X to make it into a fill. So we've got the fill, and what I can actually do now is if I go grab all the brushes that we just created, I'm just going to make sure the layer is unlocked. Now I'm going to go back and select all this. I'm just going to delete this. Select the circles that we created and the paths and shapes, whatever you've done. I'm going to press Control G to group it. So you can see now it's a group. And what I can actually do now is bring this shape into here and make sure it's on top, so you can bring it to the other layer just like that. Make sure it's on top, and then we're going to select this and go Control 7 to make a clipping mask. And you can see now it's made a clipping mask, and if I double click into here, you can see we can move around these shapes freely to play around with our effects just like that. So we've got our clipping mask, and now I can just go grab it and drag it back onto our illustration there. So that's, clipping masks are really good. It makes it more efficient, and it makes it less messy and cleaner. So now we can start working on the background there. You can see I'm going to go to this layer. I'm going to lock these layer by clicking and holding these two sections here. And I'm just going to play around with some of these circles. You can play around with different colors as well. And then we're just going to select the brush that you like, and then bump up the points a little bit. And usually what I do is I play around with transparency, see if I find something I like. And then maybe I'll drop that. And then I press Control C, Control F to copy that. And then maybe rotate it. Just to add some, texture in the background, so it doesn't look too boring and too the same. Might change the color here. A copy of that by holding Option or Alt if you're on a Mac. Maybe make this one white, and cool, that's looking good. So now we can do the same for this background and make a clipping mask. Make sure it's on top, as you can see. And then we're going to select them, press Control 7, and now we have a background there. And you can see just by adding some texture, you can really add some detail into your illustrations and make it look fun and vibrant. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the course and look forward to making new courses in the future.